and welcome to the How to Spark Success podcast show. I'm your host, Liz Hamlet, and I'm a success coach and business mentor, and I'm also founder of Spark Succeed. And I love working with people to really turn their killer business idea into reality and get your business launched. And I also help switch up your mindset from employee to entrepreneur. So if you're thinking about escaping the corporate life, get in touch. And this is the podcast where I have conversations with smart and savvy business owners and people doing really amazing things around the world. So I've got a fantastic guest today joining me from the US. He is CEO of Real One-to-One Consulting, which provides business marketing services. He's a speaker, he is a leader, he is very active on LinkedIn. And I would suggest you get in touch and follow him for some daily and weekly inspiration. And you can find his work at #thinkersatwork. So welcome to Jariss Tucker. How are you, Jariss?
Hey, I'm doing great, Liz. How are you? Thank you so much for having me.
And we were just talking, aren't you? You're a bit of a podcast pro, but we think this might be your first UK podcast. So I'm very delighted to have you.
Yes, thank you. Let's go with that. It's the first one, so yes, I'm so
let's
excited.
just forget if there's been any others.
Right.
So I was really keen to have you on because I've been sort of listening to some of your other podcasts and where you've spoken to other hosts. And one of the stories that really struck in my mind was how, when you got started, about you basically pounding the streets and knocking on so many doors. So be really interested in hearing your story about how you got started, your sort of career journey, and how you got to do what you're doing today.
Thank you. I was a production supervisor for a long time, and I understood very quickly that every job that I would apply for and I would get hired on, I would always start at the bottom of the company. And the supervisors and managers would always just approach me and say, hey, we want you to be the leader, supervisor, team lead, whatever the case may be. And this just kept going on and on and on. And the last job, like I said, I was a production supervisor, doing very well. I actually had a crew. We worked together. Everything was going good. But the managers, the atmosphere and the culture was just so toxic at this place. It was almost as if I was like dancing with the devil. So I knew since I was a young child that I always wanted to be a business owner and an entrepreneur. So I got to thinking to myself, why don't I start now? Because I know either I'm going to get fired or it's going to be something that's going to transpire. It's just going to get ugly because I was just getting so fed up every day, every day. I mean, I'm working my hardest. The crew was doing everything we're supposed to do, but it was just so toxic. So one day I just, they called me in the office on some foolishness and I had just had quit. I had no idea what I was going to do, even though I had started working on a book. I started thinking about opening a marketing company, and I was expecting to have time to do all of those things. I didn't know that uh, I would be forced to quit, and I would have to just jump and get the ball running that single day. So that's kind of how everything started for me. Working, seeing that this is not what I wanted to do with my life every day, to being forced in the position to say, okay, what are you going to do? Are you going to quit or are you going to pick up and fight?
And the persistence thing, because I can't remember exact details, but you were basically going in, taking your information in, pitching to companies and sort of really, doing that on a daily basis, multiple times. So, how sort of was that out of sort of panic because you'd obviously left your job, or, was that a sort of part of your strategy?
What happened was like I said, I was a supervisor in the community. Everybody knew me. So I didn't want to look like, he done quit his job. They got rumors going around, said it on fire. So I said, look, you got to do something. So I was just putting my thoughts together and I said, well, I got a college degree in business marketing I wasn't using. So I said, well, let me open up a marketing company because I was beginning to understand what marketing was for me anyway. So I said, well, you good in marketing. I'm thinking by me being a good supervisor, having a good reputation, I know a lot of people that they're just going to start calling me. Hey, we need real one-on-one consultants help. We need some business marketing. We need some advertising. And that didn't happen. So I was kind of intrigued by how am I knowing these business owners? They know me. They know I'm a good rep. I got to have a good reputation. And I would go to these businesses saying, look, let me do some advertising for you. And they just like, no. And I'm like, no, what do you mean? No, you know me. I work very hard. So I just started to play with that. I'm saying, you want to tell me no? Guess what? I'm going to come back tomorrow. Or I'm going to find a manager. I'm going to find a coworker. I'm going to continue to do this. And it was fun at first. Because I said, look, I got to make some money. So I would just go to these businesses every day. I would pick up the phone and call them, hey, do y'all need some advertising? They say, no, I'll call them back tomorrow. I get a friend to call. And it was going good at first because, we having fun. But I noticed very quickly, 6 months in, I'm not making any money. I'm going very hard. I'm trying to create opportunities, but I will have some people that would let me do small stuff, but I was not making nowhere near that kind of money that I was making as a production supervisor. And, I have two small children, and everybody was just on me like, man, you was working a good job. Now what you doing? How you throwing your life away? You need to find a real job. So I was taking that negative energy, just kind of reinvented myself. And I had already made it from my mind that I don't care what anybody says. I'm going to make a door. If they don't want to let me in, I'm going to go through the back door. If that doesn't work, then I'm going to go through the chimney. I will go through the window. I will dig a tunnel and go 10 feet deep and come up through the living room if I have to. But the more I kept being persistent and I was still hearing no, I said, look, you are smart enough to make your own door. Why do you continue to go to other people when you are a creator yourself? You are somebody that I was doing it every day at that warehouse. I was making things work. And that's where I credit my work ethic and experience from that one particular place in my life where things were so bad and this place was so toxic. And I absolutely hated coming to work. But we made things work every single day, night in and night out, 12 hours every day. I mean, equipment would fail, people would be going home, and we still found a way. So I had already knew that I was somebody that could find a way. So it just took time for me to have to sit down and get my thoughts together to figure out what that way or how I would create a door for myself.
Yeah, and you mentioned about that you were going and pounding the streets, and you were getting some work, but it just wasn't, really enough to sustain you. What did you think was the tipping point into, when things started to really start to roll in and sort of more income and, what more success, as we, say?
Uh, it's several parts because I had to look at what success meant for me, first of all. Success to me was having a peace of mind because I was so drained physically, emotionally, and spiritually just from having to deal with toxic people. I even was looking at myself because I didn't have a 9 to 5. I didn't have the strict schedule that I was so used to uh, working at. Being a production supervisor, you had to come in early, stay over. So by me not having to do these things, I just sat down and looked and said, well, what does success look like to you? And I realized that I was successful because I had a peace of mind. I didn't have the money, but I had freedom to create money. I was spending more time with my children and family members. So I was thinking like, man, you know what? This isn't bad. And the turning point was I was on LinkedIn promoting real one-on-one consulting. That's all I was talking about. Hey, y'all, spend some money with me. And I was not getting any kind of response, zero feedback. And I had put on there one day, like, wow, I'm just having a bad day. Nobody's responding to me. Business is not going good. I mean, what's going on? And literally the next day, I woke up and I had like 10 comments, like 19 likes. I'm like, oh, okay. Y'all don't want to hear about real one-on-one consulting. You want to know what Jariss Tucker has going on. You want to hear about the problems and real life things. And from that moment, I was probably about 6 months in from being active, trying to get my business promoted on LinkedIn, when I realized right then, Jariss, you give out more than I can do marketing and advertising very well, but you give off a positive influence. You're not scared to say, hey, look, I'm failing in life right now. I know I was a production supervisor. I know I wanted to be this big time entrepreneur, but at this moment in my life, things is not going that good. So I began to put out content, just saying how, my life was a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Things are not going well, but I'm still happy. Where do you go from there? And I noticed people were reaching out to me like crazy just for support. Wasn't a lot of personal one-on-one. It was just, hey man, keep your head up, or why don't you try this? Or have you thought about looking at success that way? So being active on LinkedIn is what turned me or pushed me to say, you know what? Put marketing to the side and just build relationships with the people, and just understand what the next person has going on before I start talking about myself.
Yeah, definitely. And I really like what you said about success, for you, actually, although you'd lost your job or, quit your job at that time, something that you hated, actually the opportunity, although the income was less, to spend more time with the kids and, just more quality time with family and everything is really key. Because I think, a lot of people equate success with, bigger and bigger income, or, more senior roles, or, business success, etc. But it's totally true, exactly what you said. It's having the freedom to actually, you wouldn't have spent that time with the kids and with the family if you'd have been in your full-time job. So that is a huge success in itself, and I think seeing that as such is really key, definitely.
Yes, ma'am.
Exactly. So what would you say, you've mentioned a few things that sort of struck me, but what would you say has been the biggest factor in your success with sort of building the business and connecting with people and sort of your general sort of business connections?
The biggest thing for me was understanding who I was as a person. That I tell anybody, you want to talk about success, you have to know you and understand what that means to you. So I had a lot of time to look at myself. To, sometimes we carry or we think of ourselves in a different way than what we actually are. So I was thinking, hey, I'm a good person. I don't bother anybody. I work hard. Success should just happen to me. I mean, I literally thought that, I'm passing out these business cards, I'm pounding down these doors, somebody's going to give me an opportunity. But what I wasn't factoring in was I wasn't looking at myself. I wasn't even giving the person that I was talking to an opportunity to tell me what kind of help did they need, or did they need help. Yeah, I was just saying, hell, you need some. And a lot of people already had people that they had hired to do their marketing and advertising. I just wasn't even concerned about that. It was like, I don't care if you had a 20-year relationship with somebody that's doing that for you. I want to be the one to do it. And that was very selfish. And I realized that I was very arrogant, not meaning anything by it, but just knowing what I was capable of. I would put that out first. Like, look, I'm the man you need to be talking to. And they're like, yeah, okay, buddy. You just started. I don't know nothing about you. So I didn't have a choice but to just look at myself coming home every day. And then my friends were really on me very hard. Like, look, man, we know you're happy and we get that, but you need to go ahead and find some money. You need to really do something. This entrepreneurship is not your thing. Matter of fact, here is an application to another job paying $70,000 a year. Fill out this application and get a real job.
Oh gosh, and it's interesting, but I'm not sure exactly of the sort of research behind this, but it was saying, just how many touch points you need with someone before they will buy from you as an individual. And that's why your sort of connection work is so important, and also your sort of persistence as well, because then you became someone that, like, oh yeah, Jariss, we know Jariss is easy to work with, and we know that he does this, perhaps we might be looking for someone new. And what was the sort of feedback once you shifted into more of the sort of focusing on the connection? Did you find that you saw a big change in your sort of face-to-face work?
Yeah, because once I began on this journey of self-improvement, self-discovery, just trying to figure out me. And I just really said, you know what? I'm just gonna figure it out. I'm just gonna take some time. Business is not going well. Well, I got a part-time job cleaning hotel rooms, so I was kind of making money.
Yeah.
I was making money. And when I started looking at myself, changing just small stuff, I didn't try to attack a lot of things. I would just focus on the individual. I would actually build relationships. And I just went on a mission to say, hey, you need to improve your communication. You need to improve whatever. And I just would make a list. Today, I'm going to work on communication. Today, I'm going to work on being happy, and I might do 30 days of working on just listening. how to not be so happy to say what I have going on, but to go to the people that I want to hire me just to go spend time with their businesses, spend some money. You know, if you have a coffee shop, I can go buy some coffee, let you see my face, and not do it in a way where you're like, well, he's just waiting for me. No, I'm actually doing some research. And then over time, I just kept noticing time, people would see the change in me. So they would come to me and say, man, I remember you used to be real stressed out. Now you are like super happy. Like, what's going on? How are you this happy? So when I changed my mindset, I changed my perspective, I changed my outlook on things. And when it comes to success and being successful, everything is already in us. It was already in me. I just wasn't looking at it like that. I had a good group of friends. I had love from my family. I already had a support factor. I just wasn't supporting myself. So when I started supporting myself, setting very small goals, whether it was just to master when somebody asked me, what's your mission statement? Or who are you? Going deeper than just my name, being able to actually explain and understand who I am and what I have going on, those things took time. And I began to realize when I would put out content and I would have Zoom meetings and I would meet people, this is the person, this is the Jariss they wanted to see. We couldn't even talk about real one-on-one consulting. A lot of people that I built relationship with, we don't even talk about business. We just actually build relationships. And that's my next thing. Once you figure out what direction you want to go or what success means to you, you instantly begin to understand other people better. See, I get that I'm a human being first. So I don't look at titles. Before we get all of that, what does Liz as a person need? Is she okay? And once you start making a relationship, so I know you got children, kids, or I know you have this kind of company, everything else will work its way right on in there. And this might take time, but you have to understand who you are, to build a relationship with the person that you're interested in on a human being level first.
Yeah, and you must have seen that shift from, and probably also that mindset was coming across when, you were really keen to be getting new business. And, that's when you were doing the sort of real salesy approach. And then suddenly that shifted to actually spending a bit of time, listening, actually just sort of forming those connections, not talking about anything but business. And that's really when you saw a big sort of tidal shift in how people were working with you and how people were connecting with you. And I think, from what I see on LinkedIn, it is very much about sort of sharing thoughts, as exactly what you said, thinkers at work, thinking, what does success mean? And I think I've heard you talk about, really working out the direction and, what you need to put in and working on yourself. And that's obviously because you're getting massive followings and feedback from your content. And, how long did that take to build on LinkedIn?
It went by quick. Once it was like 6 months just try to promote my business. And then the next 6 months, everything was just happening fast because you get to meet like-minded people. And when you're in tune with yourself and you understand what direction you want to go, I know a lot of people are jumping on these terms like the universe, but life just tends to happen for you. Even now, I'm on a different kind of journey. So I'm still not forcing anything. I just kind of sit back, build relationships, talk to people, and you're gonna notice people feed into that. They love that. We're just human beings. We want to be happy. We want to be peaceful. I don't want to, hire you today. I might need you tomorrow, but you have a good following on LinkedIn. You have a good podcast. Let's talk about that. How did you get started with that? So I would say in less than a year, I just noticed everything. I mean, I was just meeting people and people were introducing me to people. And, at one point in time, I was meeting like 100 people a day, just all day, just doing phone calls and Zoom. And it just got overwhelming because I was meeting too many people. I was getting too many phone calls. I was getting too many emails. And it was just like, it pushed me to take off like 3 months because I just didn't understand like where is all this support coming from, and just not local, worldwide. That's what was really mind blowing to me. Was I had friends that call and just check on me. They're not trying to get anything out of me. They're not trying to sell me anything. And there are people that I have been friends with for a long time on LinkedIn or just on the internet. And we have never even talked about anything as far as business. We're just actually real friends.
Yeah. And I really liked, your approach to opportunity, which is exactly what I sort of try and preach to my clients and people I'm talking to, is, not necessarily waiting for that ideal opportunity. You were saying about, like, if I couldn't get in through the front door, I would go in through the chimney or bury, under a tunnel or something. And, not waiting for that opportunity and almost like creating the opportunity and creating the situation for opportunity yourself. So, talk about that in people's careers as well as business. But, I really like that you're not just waiting for, that one opportunity. You're making things happen for yourself.
Yeah, so it's all balanced with me. Um, when you understand who you are and you work on yourself and you work on your skills and you work on your traits, you're literally just preparing. I'm practicing. So sometimes you have to create an opportunity. If I'm at a grocery store and and I see somebody, well, no matter if it's a male or female, and they smile at me, I'm going to warmly smile back and look at that. This is an opportunity for me to introduce myself and to find out who this person is and what they have going on. So opportunities, when you prepare yourself, you begin to see things that could be a possible opportunity. But I don't go in it looking like, well, this person just smiled at me. They may be a business owner. I'm just like, okay, this person smiled. Here's an opportunity for me to network.
Mm.
And I just keep it very simple. Introduce myself to them. They introduce themselves to me. Then, hey, man, you know what? I got two companies. I'm like, really? I do business marketing, advertising. Look, here's my name. Here's my card. Or they may say, I'm just having a bad day. My kids, you know what? I got two kids too, and I understand where you're coming from. And a lot of times it's just not me trying to give out my information. A lot of times it's just me building a relationship, passing on some information that somebody may use 5 years from now. They probably don't even remember who I was. It was just saying, okay, man, I know your kids are, getting to you today, but it's gonna be okay. So that's what I do during my day-to-day activities. Whenever I see an opportunity comes my way, that's on anything, whether that's to show kindness, promote my business, promote myself, to pass some knowledge, to even get some knowledge. Because a lot of times I just, somebody, I'm in public and they may say I'm a lawyer or whatever the case may be. I'm going to say, wow, how does that feel? And they're going to give me some information. So I stay prepared for opportunities.
Mm.
You have to, when you get that eye about yourself and you're more in tune, you get to feel when there's an opportunity, and you get to know when to jump, and when to hold them and when to fold them. So get in tune with yourself, and you will recognize opportunities. And if you're not recognizing an opportunity, then you have to create them. I also enjoy creating opportunities, whether that's through content. I learned how to piece my thoughts together in a way that's unique, original. And when I talk to people, they say, wow, that post really did something to me. I want you to do this or do that. So from content, from being the person that I am truly and really living like this, I create opportunities all the time. You just have to be aware of what you have going on and know when to hold them and when to fold them, because you don't want to just try to jump on everything. Because when people see you coming, they're like, oh, here's Jariss Tucker. He don't really care. He just want to get on my podcast. You know what I'm saying? So it's all balance.
Yeah, definitely. And I really like what you said about sort of being curious and like taking on learning. 'Cause that's, one of the things I love about being a podcast host is that I get to speak to people that I may not necessarily have spoken to internationally and really hear your stories, hear my guest stories, hear how they've had trials and tribulations and, what works for them, what's their success habits. So that leads me nicely onto my next question for you, which is on a sort of daily or weekly basis, what would you say are some of your success habits?
And that's a very good question, because I think success is all about habits and it's all about routine. To me, I have a strict routine every day. When I wake up, I'm a very spiritual person. I'm going to praise the Most High just for waking me, not looking for anything. More so, success habits is just looking at myself in the mirror, just saying everything's going to be okay. And I've learned how to gain control of my thoughts to a certain extent. And what I mean by that is I'm somebody whose mind races like crazy. I'm always thinking of a million things. And I've just been like that. So when I learn how to slow down and become more in the present and I don't let my thoughts drift, I get clarity on one particular thing. So when I wake up in the morning, okay, I'm happy, I did my praises. Guess what? I want to do this one particular task. Then my mind instantly starts to wrap around that one thing. And once it starts to wrap around that one thing, I've already put it on my brain before I get up and go anywhere. Today, I just want to talk about success. I want to promote happiness. I want to make somebody else feel happy. And that's all I have on my brain. So when I'm doing meetings, podcasts, interviews, talking to clients, talking to customers, I've already told myself I'm just going to put off this big ball of light to spread happiness. So to me, it's very important to understand, how do you want your day to go? A lot of us just get up and go and we think success. No, you have to make your day a successful day. So
Yeah.
by the end of that day, if I check off one thing, I made somebody happy, I made myself happy, whatever that was, or whatever my goal was, and guess what? I have become successful. It all starts in your mind. If you want to be successful, I wake up in the morning and tell myself that I'm going to be happy, I am successful, and the day just follows right along.
And the power of that affirmations and that sort of positive thinking and telling yourself is so, is so strong. And I'm glad you said that about your brain going 100 miles an hour, because my brain's a bit like that. And it's great for creative thinking and ideas, but actually focusing on one thing and making sure that happens is really key to sort of getting organized. So I'm glad you're like that as well. um, so sort of reflecting back over your sort of business life and sort of career as well, if you could do it all over again, what would you do differently?
Um, I'm happy with the way everything is going, but if I could do something differently, I would have got off of the studying so much. I got wrapped up in the research, studying different topics, and trying to figure out who I am, that I kind of feel like now, like, you have graduated college. You don't have to keep on studying, pass the test, you done did work. Go head on and graduate. Go on, get out to the world. You have put out, everybody knows you. You have a good reputation. You're going to be who you're going to say you are. Stop trying to, you know, continue to grow. You know who you are now. Now just show people. So that's the only thing I wish I would have just kind of, I take 6 months off and go on these journeys to really learn. And now I know it might not take me 6 months. I don't have to prove anything to anybody, because once you know me, you're going to say, okay, this guy's who he say he is.
Mm. And I think that's not necessarily a bad thing about like wanting to continuously learn, but I think it is about sort of one of the things I do talk about a lot is people get stuck before they take a leap. So like say launching a business or moving career, they get stuck in that doing so many courses and qualifications, and it's almost like it's a comfort zone of more learning. So sort of not getting, that's really important to sort of keep your skills up to date, but not getting stuck in that. And it sounds, do you feel like in the past maybe you've been stuck in the sort of
Yeah, I get
learning?
stuck.
Yeah.
I get stuck. I go deep. I forget. I forget about everything. I'll pass the test and be like, well, you know what? This was interesting. I learned that. Let me go learn that too. Instead of saying, hey, look, you learned this. Just show what you learned.
Yeah. And learning on the job, on business, and is really key. And like life and what you've learned about persistence and about connection is probably immensely as valuable, if not more valuable, than the courses and everything that's practical. So I'm sure it sounds like you've received a lot of advice, including people giving you job applications at the start of the business. But what would you say has been the best piece of advice you've received about success and about business?
When just listening to different people talk about success, the best advice I've learned is that success is what you feel, what you think it is, and you have to take your time to understand what that is. Because I used to go off what other people thought was being successful. I never had my definition. I was told, if you have this car, if you're living this life, if you're doing that, then that makes you successful.
Yeah.
But that's only for those type of people's perspectives. You have other people's perspectives of happiness means, you don't have all these bills. You have the spouse or the person that you wanted to marry. You've met that person, so you're successful. Understanding what success means to me, you, us individually was something that I don't know where I got it from. That was one of the best pieces of advice that somebody gave me. Actually, figure out what success means to you.
Amazing. And if you could give like one piece of advice to the listeners about business, about success, what would that be from you personally, from what you've learned?
Before you even look at business or success, understand who you are. Because once you figure out who you are, what makes you tick, how to control your emotions, how to control your thoughts, whatever lesson that you have to learn, once you discover that, everything else becomes easy. If I know me, so I can talk about business, I can talk about happiness, because I know what makes me happy. I know what makes me whatever. Learn who you are first, because before you get into entrepreneurship, business, you're a parent, whatever title or role you have to understand you first before you go. You are acting out being an entrepreneur, but you have to know who you are in your mind first. Once you understand that, everything becomes good. You can deal with human beings. You can deal with anything in business. Once you take the time out to understand who you are first.
And I think that, you've demonstrated that is, you really saw that sort of shift as soon as you started understanding yourself and communicating and obviously doing what you do well, which is, connecting with people and just networking and communicating. So, that's obviously been key, and you have demonstrated that. So I think that's a fantastic piece of advice. Well, I could chat for ages to you, Jariss. But I'm very keen to sort of share. So if people want to know a bit more about you or to connect with you, where's the best place for them to come to?
The best place is LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn, but for those people who don't have a LinkedIn account, you can follow the hashtag Thinkers at Work. You can type it anywhere, Google, anywhere on social media. Hashtag Thinkers at Work, and you can see all of my content. I have my website, my email, the text me now number I have. You type in that hashtag, it's going to tell you everything you need to know about me.
Fantastic. And we'll make sure. And did you want to mention your text me number for is it US based?
Yes, I can send it to you in the link, but I just would rather people who don't know me
Yeah.
to follow the hashtag, get to know me before you just start. 'Cause a lot of people just text me now just to say, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but follow the content that where you can know, okay, this is what this guy is talking about. So when you have an issue or you just want to speak or say hello, you can already know what's going on,
Yeah.
or you have a better understanding.
Definitely. And I follow you. Obviously, we linked up on LinkedIn and via the Podbooker app. So I can attest to the fact they're putting some great stuff out on LinkedIn. So, follow that hashtag and connect up. So it's Jariss Tucker on LinkedIn, isn't it?
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Jariss Tucker. Yes, ma'am.
The one and only.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much, Liz. I appreciate you so very much.
Oh, thanks so much for joining me. And it's fantastic to have you. I love connecting with guests around the world. So where exactly are you in the US?
I live in Danville, Virginia right now. I took this mini vacation. I'm in Augusta, Georgia right now with my family.
I will feel honoured that you've joined us on your vacation. So thank you so much for joining us.
The pleasure remains with me. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's been great to chat. So for the listeners here today, join me for the next episode where I'll be joined by another amazing guest talking about their success stories and sharing some of their success secrets. If you've been inspired by today and want to have a chat with me, head over to sparksucceed.co.uk and I'll make sure Jariss's links are all in the show notes. So Jariss, once again, it's fantastic to have you and thanks for joining. Have a great day.